St. Peter! Welcome to the Completely Unnecessary Podcast for Tuesday, March 22nd. We're in spring 2022. Spring has sprung. That's Ian.
Spring has sprung. And
I'm Pat Country. On the show today, we'll be talking about a very special game studio that no longer exists. And you'll find out the ramifications. The Video Game Hall of Fame finalists that we like to talk about each year. We have a fun Patreon poll topic, and we also have voicemails that go on here. Daylight savings update. Last week we were discussing about how awful it is that we've changed the clocks twice a year, and we should just keep daylight savings time. Almost like an act of God, later that day, in the United States Senate, they passed it 100-0. So it almost never happens that starting in 2023, there'll be no more switching the clocks back and forth. It'll just be daylight savings time, which is what we're at right now, which means darker in the morning, lighter at night. Almost everyone agrees that's the way it should be. It obviously has to pass the House. I don't see, unless there's some lobbyists, there's some standard time lobbyists, it should pass.
It's going to be people in the flyover states. So I was reading, they tried this once before in the 70s, and I remember my parents telling me. And it didn't work because the biggest complaint was people in the flyover states, kids had to go to school in the dark in the morning. And I said literally on Twitter when it happened, fuck them kids. I literally made It
was dark when we went to class too on the East Coast. It was dark.
I went to school at 7:15 in the morning.
Class started. Yeah,
it was dark.
Class would ring in at I think it was
7:55 was when it started for me,
yes.
and I would leave at 7:15 so I could finish any homework I needed or whatever. While I sat in homeroom.
Yeah, the bus picked me up by 7:25.
Oh, I walked, but yeah, okay, yeah.
So it was dark. It was dark. Once you got to October, November, December, in January it was dark. So I don't want to hear that excuses. I mean, yeah, the accidents happen. But this is what happens. The whole circadian rhythm and things and how you sleep. I got fucked up after we switched the clocks. I forgot we were changing over. I didn't sleep all the next 3-4 days.
I mean, my sleep is notoriously awful, but it's been real bad since we changed the clock.
So I was reading about it, and it says that happens to a lot of people. And then it happens twice a year because you're just unnaturally changing when your body feels it should be going to sleep. So besides that, they have done studies on this, and yes, and we also use a lot less electricity because at night when people are home from work, they have to use less lights on and things like that. So in a theoretical world, it should work. But I hear arguments all the time that but I understand it's going to piss some people off, but we should not be switching clocks twice a year. It doesn't. Countries don't do this. No. I know we're a bigger country and we have different time zones, but it's just, come on.
It just doesn't make sense anymore.
They just do it because of the farmers.
Yes, I know. Yeah,
the farmers can deal with it. Most people aren't farmers. We're good. They can adjust their clock. Their let us do it. All right, let us do it here. But it's funny it happened literally that day. Mm-hmm. I did not know it was going to be coming up. I didn't. What else happened? I went to Mitch's Seafood.
Yeah, I saw the picture. It was a good picture.
With pals Yoshi and David. CG artists extraordinaire. It was a smorgasbord, as my mom would say. Fish tacos. We got their version of poutine fries with a crab in it, a little bit of crab. We got the ceviche of the day is always nice and light and delectable. Intermittent fasting, Jesus. And then Yoshi got the fish and chips. And then Dave got the tuna steak, seared tuna. It looked incredible. Yeah, it looked incredible. It looked like a meat steak. It looked incredible.
I bet.
It probably melted a butter in your mouth. It looked great. Ian, you watched a lot of football. We talked about that in the exclusive
basketball.
podcast.
I watched basketball.
Patreon.com/see a podcast.
Not football.
I also do basketball.
I also went to a pin expo over the weekend in Santa Ana, which was a shitload of fun. And by pin, I mean pins. I got this cute little...
when you first told me, I'm like, a pinball convention? I didn't hear about that. Oh, no, enamel pins.
This cute little hiding bob that
perfect.
Fits perfect on my... so it looks like he's peeking out from behind the Rock Heart logo. So I went to the pin convention, and it was awesome. I love pins. I love buttons. I love pins. I love all that stuff. And
You sell our pin there, Ian?
no, I didn't. I mean, I didn't have a booth. I didn't have a booth. And walked around. It was all outdoors. It was a beautiful freaking day in Santa Ana. And I mean, it was bigger than I expected. Like a whole city block, both sides, 2 big parking lots with multiple rows of booths each. And there was one section that Tom, a friend of the podcast, Tom, said is usually set up for it, but there was like construction going on there, so they didn't have it.
Oh,
and I guess they do this like once every month or once every couple of months.
A month?
Yeah. And a lot of people turned out.
Do it once a month?
A lot of people turned out.
That's like how the train shows used to be. Back
So-
in like the late 80s.
Yeah. So the pins are huge. Those are all over the place. It's a pin and patch expo. There were some patches. I didn't see a ton of those. It was mostly enamel pins. A lot of sneakers and a lot of fitted hats too was the popular thing.
Fitted hats have been on the comeback the past like 15 years, right?
Well, I was looking around because I wear pins on my hoodies, or some people put them on a lanyard. What seemed to be the big deal was a lot of people like really into sneakers and fitted hats put them on their hats. And so because of that, there was a lot of pins that were like, because it was in Santa Ana, that were like, Looney Tunes or Pokemon or whatever, but wearing like Dodgers gear or something like that. Uh-huh. So a lot of those like pinned onto hats and stuff like that. That was a whole aspect of the pin thing that I never knew existed, was that there was like this big like sports fan interest in it. So that was super cool. Definitely want to go back. I picked up like 15 pins. Had a blast. I mean, more than a video game convention, more than a record convention, more than a comic convention, a pin convention is designed to drain money.
So you think Pat might have won? The Duke Togo?
No.
Pin?
I kept my eyes open for other people. I only got something for my cousin. Okay. My cousin's the only person I got something for.
Okay.
And then that night, and this was fantastic, Tom and Julie, we did at-home Korean barbecue with a shitload of meat. And they used one of those big, like, flat top, electric flat top grills.
Oh.
And it's got a drain for the grease and everything.
Oh, okay.
So it was just like KBBQ. They had all the sides, all the kimchi, all the pickles, and the big things of meat. And, it was... ate until I got the meat sweats and then came home.
Ate till you got the meat sweats. And then it's that long ride home where it's like, oh boy, my it's a churning, it's a bubbling, all that meat.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend, but that's why I didn't go to Mitch's with you, was because of, after basketball and pins, everything I had to get done kind of got pushed off.
Real life stuff, Ian.
Yeah, I took care of taxes yesterday.
Get your taxes. Good for you, Ian. I still have to do my taxes, the business taxes. My guy left the country. But he passed off my stuff to my tax guy, retired.
That sounds bad. My tax guy left the country and passed my stuff off to someone else.
I'm not passing judgment, but he retired. He was older than I thought. He was like 10 years older than I thought he was, the guy. So it's like he's enjoying his retirement, but now my tax person is a new person, but I'm confident that they can do a good job, because my tax is a little more complicated because it's a pass-through corporation thing, but it's fun. My taxes are I could not be able to do my taxes myself. So, so that was fun. And then what was the other thing I was going to say that happened this weekend? Oh, I watched The Big Short finally.
Oh, nice.
I spoke about it with you a little bit offline.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining. 2015 movie. It's about the housing crisis and basically the downfall of our economy that happened in 2008, which really was like 3 years in the making. It starts in like 2005, then goes to like 2008. And how bad it was back then, if you remember. In 2008, it really hit the fan, spring to summer. Mm-hmm. And then right before the election, that might have changed how the election went in 2008, potentially. Because it was like, ooh, what the fuck's going on? Tons of foreclosures, people losing their jobs, unemployment going up.
That was a couple of years after I moved out here, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah. Christian Bale is in it. Steve Carell is great in it. He's like almost unrecognizable. Brad Pitt's in it. They got some big names in it, but it's just a tale of 3 different sets of people that discover that, hey, we know the housing bubble is going to burst. Everyone's going to be fucked. Let's bet against basically betting against the U.S. economy so we make a ton of money, and that's basically what it is. And then going through learning how those characters discovered and how we discover how it got to this point, and how like it was insane. It was basically like the worst sort of people making tons of money, not caring about any ramifications, and thinking that nothing bad could happen, which happens a lot, obviously, in business. And then everyone was asleep at the wheel. No one was saying, "Hey, this is nuts. What is everyone doing with these mortgage-backed securities?"
Not only asleep at the wheel, but permissive. Just
yeah. So basically, it's very complicated. The movie does a pretty good job explaining it in layman's terms. They even use, like, to help explain it, here's Margot Robbie in a bubble bath drinking champagne. They make it fun. Like, a couple of things.
Sure.
They break the fourth wall in this movie.
oh, okay.
Several times.
Oh, that's cool.
Ryan Gosling is the semi narrator, and he plays a swarmy guy that gets in on it. And I love Ryan Gosling in almost everything. I still have to see Blade Runner 2049. So
God, it's so good.
So I see that. So they do a good job, but basically basically what happened was they gave out bad mortgages to people that couldn't pay mortgages. They didn't check income on a lot of, no ninja loans, Ian, no income, no verification of a job. You can get a house. Like, it's insane to think about that they did that. They did that for millions of people.
No income, no job. What's the A?
I don't know, but it's
ninja. Okay.
I mean, they call them ninja loans. How is that legal?
I have no idea.
How did any bank take on those loans? This is why they took them on, because they didn't care about the ramifications of having for millions of people. They were going to make their money on these predatory loans where, hey, the first few years it's like a reasonable rate, 3-4%. After that, it'll go up to 6%, 9%. It'll double or triple your mortgage. And obviously people couldn't afford them, and they couldn't refinance because the whole thing was a bubble. And the price, you can't refinance your home if the price of your house goes down. And then when you refinance, a lot of times they look more into like your income and what you can do. So these people were fucked. Millions of people were fucked. When I first moved here, Ian, this was 2009. So this is like, we're well into the housing crisis by then for a couple of years. I remember half of the places for sale were bank auctions on places that were foreclosed or straight foreclosures. When you looked on like Zillow, Redfin, half of the ones in the area. Now that's extremely rare because they don't give out loans anymore to people they don't think that could afford them. We're where we are now because of that. Like that's where we are. It's so hard for me to get a loan or refinance. Like 20 years ago,
no problem.
Sign right here. We don't care if you can't pay for it 3 years in. We got your money. We can take the house back. So that, coupled with the fact that all these securities were filled with these bad mortgages, so the securities become worthless.
Right.
And that's what caused the crash. That's basically in a nutshell. And no one was looking at, hey, what you're selling these securities that have these worthless mortgages. That'll be garbage. So then the securities are worthless. We're buying and trading worthless stuff. And no one in the government, no one agency said like you can't do this. Like it was too late. Everyone was doing it. Everyone was making tons of money doing it. So it's just like, and it ruined the world's economy because of it, because of greedy assholes. And almost no one went to prison. That's the best part.
All right.
And the banks got bailed out because they had to bail them out, or else the economy would have been worse. It would have been a Great Depression even more so. And the banks probably knew that too. But
sure.
They won't let us fail. We're too big to fail.
Exactly.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Go watch The Big Short. It's actually it's like a dark comedy / horror kind of. When you realize that all this stuff actually happened. A lot of this stuff in the movie actually happened when you see it. It's like, yeah. Interesting, huh?
Yep.
So about Epic Games doing something nice for Ukraine.
Epic Games is donating all of its profits for the next 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. Any fruits or vegetables? 2 weeks.
And the first day was like $36 million, which shows you how much they make off of like Fortnite and other stuff.
The first what?
First day.
Was 36 million.
First day. Isn't that nuts?
It's insane.
Multiply that times 14 or so.
So yeah, they're giving it all to Ukrainian relief. I mean, that's just, it's massive. It's huge. I don't even know how much money it's gonna be.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions. Yeah. So there's that. New season of Fortnite is launching today. Developer Epic will be donating all of its proceeds from the first 2 weeks to Ukraine-related humanitarian efforts. The action will last from March 20th through April 3rd and will include all... Oh, I thought it was 2 weeks of Fortnite proceeds. Okay. Thought it was everything off the Epic Games Store, which would have been insane.
Oh, wow. Just Fortnite is $36 million a day?
Yeah, it's just Fortnite.
Holy
just
shit.
Fortnite.
Okay.
So includes all real money purchases in the game, which means purchased V-Bucks subscriptions, gifted battle passes, and certain cosmetic packs. Using V-Bucks in Fortnite will not be included, obviously, because that's already been paid for. So that's massive. And it just shows how successful the game is, how successful Epic's been. They can do this, and they're going to walk away just fine being able to do this. It's not a big deal for them.
So Tim Sweeney's the CEO. He's the company's controlling shareholder. So what he says goes. This is a privately held company, so you don't have to answer to a board of directors, or like stockholders who would throw you off a building if you said this for a public trade company. So that's basically him making a decision. So I'm going to do this. It's good for him. He's also the guy that went head to head with Apple in the lawsuit. So he's trying to be on the right side of some of this stuff here. So yeah, that's fantastic. I've never heard of a company doing something like this ever.
No, that's huge.
We're going to donate everything we make, even the one game, Ian, but that's obviously the lion's share of money that
you don't have to explain to me. I mean, I know. I'm well aware.
It's nuts.
Still thought, yeah.
And then talk about your buddy Brandon's.
Oh yeah, and the itch.io game bundle, indie game bundle that was loaded. We talked about it last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Pat missed out, unfortunately.
Like 1,000 different indie games, RPG rule sets, asset packs. They kept breaking every goal they set. They finally topped out at just about six.
It was over $6 million.
Over $6 million.
You know why? Because Pat checked and got asked out. I had a list of things to get done over the weekend, like price out a flight to a convention, book a hotel convention, list of things on little stick-it notes. And I'm going on the list, and I'm like, okay, I should check this out again. And it was gone. So Pat missed out. Pat missed out on giving money and the deal of a lifetime on top of that.
Yeah, very, very good. I mean, I went well over the minimum, but if you only had a handful of bucks and wanted to help Ukraine and put $10 in, you got
more games than you'll ever play.
You got you got hooked up, and I don't think it's and just to say, if all you had was $10 and that's all you put in, I don't think that's bad. More is great, obviously better, but any sort of help, any sort of contribution right now is huge.
And there's obviously other organizations out there.
Yeah.
But they did. Let's see. The average I think I saw was like 14 or 15.
Yeah, they got the average up to 15, which isn't bad. That's really what he wanted. Brandon was really hoping to get that average up to about 15.
And you know what? We'll shout out Humble Bundle did it as well. They did one and they raised almost 13 million.
Great.
So like everyone got in on it. It wasn't as quote unquote good as a deal of many games, but they put like AAA games in a pack, and it was like at least $40 for 123 items, and they had stuff like Fable on here, Max Payne 3, Spyro, Metro Exodus. So they did their own version of it.
Oh, nice!
So good for them.
Didn't even see that would have contributed, but that's great.
A game called Warsaw, I think I've heard of before. Yeah, lots of things. Toe Jam and Earl was in there, the new one that'll be coming to the Amico one day. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's tons of money.
Good stuff.
The problem there, obviously, right now is that we don't know when there's going to be an end to this war still. It's been almost a month now. It's a month.
Yeah.
Russia thought they were going to roll in and have this done in like 3-4 days, lickety split.
Nope.
Nope. They're bogged down.
No.
Ukrainians are fighting on, holding on. This is like the future war almost. This is like, it's weird. It's like the first social media war where like you can follow the strategy and progress like hour to hour. I mean, you have updates every day. Certain Twitter accounts have been brilliant, combining all resources, saying this is what's happening on these fronts. This is the strategy here, and it's like, it's insane. Like back in the day, it was like you to find out what was happening in World War II, you had to go to the movie theater, and it was the front part of your movie, the news. That's how you found out about what the fuck was happening. Mm-hmm. It wasn't up to the minute. This is insane to see this happen. You're seeing all the struggle, all the horror of war on social media. It's nuts. You can't explain it, right?
No, it's very weird. Like no, and I feel like it's going to make. I felt like it would help truncate the war, but because everyone's focused on it. I mean, the world is reacting, but but it's still.
Well, I think it's helped the world react. Obviously,
Yes.
Europe came together in like 48 hours, said "fuck this,"
Right.
And like I don't know if that would have happened like 30, 40 years ago,
Right. Yeah.
'Cause you can't ignore it.
I'm trying to look at any positive of war in the social media age, because it's really disturbing to me to look at it through a social media lens, to look at war memeified and
Yes. It's hard to stomach, right?
It's hard to stomach.
People are dying.
Yes, it's hard to stomach. I can't. It's very depressing to take. I mean, war is obviously depressing, but taking it in through the format of social media it's a nightmare. It's awful.
Yeah, because it like sort of minimizes the humanity of it.
Back in the day, you pick up your newspaper, you grit your teeth, you read through the shitty news of the day, you put your newspaper down, and then you pick it back up again the next day.
Watch the news.
But now it's fucking constant, and there's people who think of it like sports because the brains have just been fucking poisoned, and it's
Well, you try to rationalize it. Like that's the thing. It's like I'm learning about strategies going on in certain towns and how they're. I'm like, I guess that's how you rat. I mean,
it's why I haven't been talking about it like on Twitter. It's just because I don't want to contribute to this weird.
That's everything now, though.
Yeah, I know.
All the social and political movements. It's all social media. It's all. That's how we become.
And for certain political and social movements, that's fine. I'm talking about war. Like, I don't want to view war through the lens
I get
of
it,
social
but the
media.
alternative is that no one talks about it, and that's worse.
Well, right, I know.
Because then you don't get the support. You know what I mean? So I understand.
Right, that's why I said. Or that's why I said it earlier. I'm trying to find the positives.
I think the positive.
And the positives are you can galvanize people very quickly.
And the other positive is now the world's other nefarious actors can see this reaction, and they may not want to do this.
Sure.
The one people were saying was, well, is China going to attack Taiwan finally and basically take them by force and take them back in? And if they do that now, they're going to get a just as strong reaction.
They're looking at what's going to happen in terms of the reaction, the world reaction, and how fast it comes together.
Yes, not how fast it's come together. So there you go. That's, I guess, the silver lining, if there's going to be one, is something like that. This could be the last hurrah for like a war like this to ever happen, potentially. Right. In theory. So, I checked out the Whatnot Stadium Events auction. We advertised it here.
Yeah.
The online auction, real-time auctions, and Josh went there to auction off. He was auctioning off every NES cart starting at $1 and did stadium events and went to the Video Game History Foundation out there in outside of San Fran and met up with good old Frank Cifaldi. And they broadcast it, and Kelsey, our pal Kelsey, was on the stream as well. And they did the auction. They did like a little background of what the Video Game History Foundation does. They did buy it nows for magazine bundles to help go there. You can buy a $50 bundle or a $10 bundle or a $100 bundle, and they give you
mystery boxes.
Yeah, and they did giveaways that are built into the platform based on who's in the chat. They did giveaways, I think, in magazines. Then they did the auction, and I watched it, and this was an actual paid-for auction. They actually brought the guy on stream real quick to talk about it.
How long did the whole auction take?
I want to say it was like 8 minutes or so.
Gotcha.
Because the way it works, this is not an advertiser for Whatnot, but we're going to explain it. The clock keeps going. There's no sniping. So you bid, there's a countdown. You bid, it adds 10 more seconds to the clock. So if like 4 people bid in like 5 seconds, you'll add like whatever multiple.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So it's fair. So like.
So it's snipe proof basically.
It's snipe proof.
Yeah.
You can't snipe it. It's impossible to snipe it because it'll add 10 seconds to each bid. But you got to know quick. So, and the way they did this was that you had to pay within 5 minutes, or they're going to re-auction to make sure. Because the first time they ran it, it went to over 1 million, and someone said it was a typo, and I think it actually was a mistake. I think they wanted to bid 11,000. They put like a couple extra.
They got a little too excited. Yeah.
So they undid it and they redid it. So it went to 10,000 right away. Then it went to 15, then to 20. I'm like, okay, this is historically where the cart only statements have gone, like around 20,000. I think. And this wasn't graded. There was a mark on the label, so it wasn't. It's a state advance, but it wasn't destroyed. But it wasn't like a 9. It was like a 6 or 7. Sort of condition, probably like a 7. Then it gets into the 20s, and I'm like, holy shit. Okay, and these are people right there bidding on it. It got to 31,000. 31,000. It got to just the cartridge.
Jeebies.
And it was a real collector, and the collector said this wasn't even the last NES game they needed. In my head, I'm like, Wow. Okay.
Oh, it wasn't even.
No.
Oh, I thought when you told me when we talked the other day, I thought you told me it was the last NES game.
I think they still have a few to go. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, why would you not have gotten the other ones before? But I guess they wanted to get the hard one out of the way. So yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts. I'm not saying this is going to be a regular for stuff like this, but yeah, I think it's a watershed moment. Josh from SideQuest Games said he was going to donate 10% of the sale to Video Game History Foundation as well. So that's around 3,000. So they did all right helping out with that. And Frank was funny. He like opened up and joked about, "Oh no, it's a fake. It's a duck hunt board." You know, I was like, I felt like I think he even joked. Frank, I don't think he even joke about that while you're doing it. But it was funny. It was really funny.
There was a article, a good write up on The Verge, or not the yes, it is The Verge. Talking about the fight to save video game history. I won't get too into it, but it's a good article. It talks about Video Game History Foundation. I think it does a pretty good job of detailing Section 1201 of the Digital Rights Act, which
Sure.
is what is, really kind of the sticking point that's making having a library, but for games.
A digital library.
Exist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing.
Because that right now you have to
technically
be
it's
on premises. You have to be on premises to use it. And a lot of, it talks about how a lot of libraries and institutions don't want to touch video games because of 1201. So I think it's a good article, well written. It was written by Alex Castro at The Verge. You should go check that one out.
Yeah, so the ESA has to like change their hard-nosed stance on it, basically.
Right.
They have to. The trade organization for game publishers, they have to get on board with this eventually, because they're not really preserving the stuff probably as much as they do, because there's no money in it technically for them when it comes to some of the stuff. But it's like they got to do the right thing and realize that people aren't going to be making money off of this. Like, it's not going to really eat into their bottom line. They got to get on board with it. I think it'll eventually happen. Maybe.
You make money off of
What, Ian?
sales at ultimatenintendo.com.
I do, Ian.
Yep.
I make money off sales of books. Ian's so proud of himself. He was ready to go with that one.
I was.
RBI baseball stickers. The limited shirts are on sale right now, as well as the Mom Man shirts, which still needs to be on the soundboard. I still haven't put that one on there. The enamel pins. All at ultimatenintendo.com. I'm on Cameo, cameo.com/PatConstry for all your well-wishing needs. And the 100th, this time I'm right, Ian, my math isn't off. The 100th Twitch stream of retro TV commercials is happening this Wednesday, the 23rd, around 4 or 5 p.m. Pacific. I usually fall in that range. My Wednesdays are kind of loosey-goosey and catching up on stuff.
Your Wednesdays are loosey-goosey.
It's a blast. Thank you so much for everyone who supports it. I'm overwhelmed sometimes by the number of followers and subscribers that I get in bits, and people have a good time. When I started doing it, I had no idea, 2 years ago almost, I had no idea I'd be doing it this long, and realizing it's really a lot of fun. I don't talk about it in this podcast really ever. It really almost is like, I see why people like the stream. It's relaxing and entertaining, and it's a hangout. And unfortunately with me, I hate playing games on stream. I discovered that I do not relax.
It's fucking misery.
Because then you suck at the game, you get frustrated, you're not entertaining. But like watching old ass commercials, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and being flummoxed by them or curious about things that happened, and the funny memes that develop naturally on Twitch, like, okay, I'm a Twitch streamer. Like this is I found my Twitch calling, and doing it once a week works for me. And Ian might show up.
Maybe. There's always that possibility.
So is that possibility?
There's always that possibility
for the 100th. Maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris Bucci of Good Old Turbo Views, for sending the Turbo Views shirt.
That's a sweet shirt.
So it went from 2009 to 2021. I've known Chris for several years. The best TurboGrafx 16 reviewer on the web.
Certainly.
And he did all 140 or so North American releases. I did ask him jokingly if he did the 3 Bikini Babes unlicensed CD. He said, no, I did not do those. The one's right behind Ian somewhere on the shelf.
Oh, the ones with
Local Hawaiian girls, bikini girls, and there's another one in Hawaii. There's 2 ones with Hawaii. It's all awful.
They're just
awful,
image
grainy
discs, right?
ass images.
Yeah.
That like they're still censored. Something like it's weird. There's like black bars on. You can go on YouTube and search for them. They're on there. They're technically games, but they're not. It's a slideshow.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's bad there.
It's bad.
You know what's good, Ian? A Switch update.
Switch update.
An update?
Update.
Also tonight, an update.
Happened yesterday.
The one thing that everyone has been asking, there's been a couple things people have been asking for on the Switch since it was released.
There's been a lot of things.
In terms of the home menu and the OS, and I think the two things people wanted, I think people are still surprised that Nintendo has not added customizable themes and theming to it. Every company does it. Nintendo did it so hard for the 3DS that they had a crane game, added in where you could get badges to yeah, that was huge. Customize, the layout of your home screen on the 3DS. I don't know if they think it makes them look more adult, but it's silly. It's silly when Nintendo has a good thing that they do and then they just decide to not do it anymore. So themes are not there. However, you can now, and no idea why it took this long, you can make folders. So you can organize your games in folders. That would have been great to have, 4 fucking years ago when I was so I could have organized my games as I went. I have no desire to go through my massive Switch catalog and organize everything.
Could you at least move the icons to alphabetize them?
Well, I mean, you can set them to just alphabetized. So that's what I do. I just go through. I think of the game I want to play, and I scroll through. Yeah, and I go through by alphabet.
Is it No, you can scroll vertically or horizontally.
You scroll horizontally until you get to the end, and then you go to all games, and then it does 5 across, and then lists down. And I just look at them alphabetically.
That's such a. I could not have taken a lot of coding effort to put in fucking folders.
No, I swear to fucking God. I mean, I love Nintendo systems and a lot of their first party games, but I swear as soon as one person mentions a good idea that they didn't think of themselves, Nintendo purposely goes, "We're not putting it in for 5 years."
Well, we had plans to put it in folders, but now we're not going to.
But now we're not going to because someone wants it
for 5 years. Once you're in middle age of your console, you're gonna put in folders. I did think about that at one point. I was looking at it, I was like, how would they? Because on an iPhone, you can drag them in 2 icons together, it makes a folder. Yeah. So is it?
I tried doing that immediately when I got my Switch, and I was like, why can't I do this?
So how do you do it? You have to say create folder and then drag them in. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I mean, and I just want to remind people again, this was something that was. You could do this on the 3DS. You could do this on the 3DS. I don't know if you could do it on the 3DS from the word go, but by the time I had a 3DS, you could do it.
I think Nintendo likes trolling. I think somehow they secretly enjoy trolling. They also boosted Bluetooth volume, and they did some Bluetooth headphone or whatever compatibility updates, but that's about it here.
Good for them.
Did you check out the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe boosters?
I did, and I've been having fun with it.
Was there controversy about this, or people?
Well, okay, so it's fun.
I don't have the energy to get into controversial topics.
It's they're not the greatest looking.
Some of them aren't. Or all of them aren't?
They all have a pretty impressive amount of fog. That when you go from one of the new tracks to one of the original tracks or one of the original Booster Course tracks, you can tell that there was obviously a lot more effort and care put into it. That said, I don't think they're ugly. They're simplistic. They're fun to play. I like pretty much all of the new tracks. The Ninja House track, which is from World Tour, the Ninja Hideaway, is quickly one of my favorite tracks. It's really clever. I think it's fun. I like it a lot. They added Toad Ridge from DS, which I really like. They added Choco Mountain, which is Vani's favorite Mario Kart track, period. So, yeah, I mean, it's fun. And I kind of had a feeling that going into this, that might be the case. They're adding 48 tracks for $25 to a game that is...
Or you get the expansion pack and they throw it in.
Yeah, nearly a decade old at this point, I feel like, between the Wii U versions. So
to a lot of people, this is going to be free. Not to everyone, but it's going to be free if you got the expansion pack.
You got to see how many people really got the online expansion pack. But
sure.
I think for the $25 value, if this is how it is going forward, I think it's fine, and I'm enjoying playing new tracks again.
You paid $25 once, right, for all the different boosters.
Yeah.
Got it. For the 48. Got it. Well, yeah, it's 50 cents a... I don't have the energy.
I don't either.
I
cannot. I mean, they're not broken. They're fun to play.
Broken.
They're just not as nice looking.
Not as nice looking.
Yes.
Maybe they're just not. They're not as polished, but they still.
The track is fine. Yeah, the tracks are fine. It's the outside stuff. It's the window dressing and whatnot is not nearly of the same level.
That's fine. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
that's fine. So it looks a little bit quote unquote dated versus the other ones. Okay, looks more like the Wii.
They just don't look as
Or Wii
active.
U.
They look
Not as
they
active.
look a little bit emptier. They don't look quite as active. And like I said, there does seem to be a bit of
Wasn't that also part of it because some of these cords were from consoles that didn't have all that stuff going on? Yeah.
Yes, and when they took those tracks originally, they beefed them up and they added a lot for the original run of Mario Kart 8. It doesn't look like they're quite doing that now,
Gotcha.
but they're also putting out 48 tracks in 2 years.
Oh, Choco Mountain. I remember Choco Mountain from 64. I'm looking at what you get here. What about how are the Mario Kart Tour ones? Being that those were more simplified because you weren't playing it like on a controller. How did those translate over?
I would say pretty good. The Tokyo track I like. The Paris track is fun enough. They are like a little bit visually more simple.
Okay.
However, the Ninja Hideaway track, which was Mario Kart World Tour as well, honestly, with a little bit of graphic polish, that track would be I personally feel like that would be a standout on Mario Kart 8.
Wow.
Like it looks a little bit better. It's a very nice track. I like it.
You got 1, 2, 3,
Three
tour.
from World Tour.
One from DS, one from 3DS,
2 from DS.
2 from 3DS,
2 from 3DS. I'm sorry. 1 from DS.
one from 64,
Yeah.
one from GBA.
Yep.
Looks like,
I like the GBA.
and one
course,
from
too.
Wii. You got the Coconut
The Mall.
The Mall, because
Which is-
everyone loved the Mall.
The Mall is fun.
The Mall is the one everyone remembered.
Yep.
From that one, right?
Yeah, that's a really good track.
All right. Yeah, whatever. I'll put in $25, whatever. That's probably the game I played the most on any Nintendo console.
I'll put it this way: if you are one of those people like me who even a month ago was still playing Mario Kart 8, it's a no-brainer to get the expansion.
Sure. And then WrestleQuest, Ian.
That looked good. Mega Cat Studios released a trailer announcing a game called WrestleQuest. It's got a great pixel art style. It's going to have actual appearances by wrestlers in there. I believe Macho Man Randy Savage is supposed to. Yeah, he's right there.
The names are different.
No, Macho Man is a licensed wrestler in this.
Well, you don't play as an IC.
No,
There's a different.
There's a
name.
different. Yeah. No, there are definitely licensed
Jake
wrestling.
the Snake's in it.
Yep.
And Andre.
Andre the Giant, Jake the Snake. That's it. Yep. And Macho Man.
So it's more about. Someone brought up a question up with this a few weeks ago. It's like, what if there was a game where that was more like an RPG behind the scenes stuff? It looks like this is incorporating some of that, and then it's obviously RPG style fights in the ring.
Yep.
Turn-based fights in the ring.
And I'm interested to see how those play out. There's some fun stuff in the video. It shows, one of the wrestlers pinning another wrestler. So I am really interested in seeing how it plays.
It looks fun.
Yeah, it does.
It's one of those things that if you're a wrestling fan, or even if you're not, you like just like, oh, RPG style, we're going to check this out. Yeah, it looks like you travel around the world. It's like you start like in like yeah, it's like almost like you start like in a backyard playing like a wrestling. It's funny. So it's a real RPG.
Yeah, it looks cute.
Like with the purse. Was that some guerrilla marketing that voicemail saying, hey, because that's basically what this game is almost.
Yeah.
It looks like. But maybe this is less behind the scenes, but it'd be funny to deal with like awful owners of organizations and fight for contracts. That would be fun with that. So that's it for this long ass intro.
Yeah, geez Louises.